back on the Super Centex Podcast. Alongside me on my screen right here is DJ. She might be there. Sometimes that's the way that works. But DJ, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How are y'all this morning?
Good. And then we've got, as I called him a little while ago, the hairless wonder, Chad Connally.
I thought you said beardless. I have some hair, at least, not very much.
Just not as much on your face anymore.
I think DJ has the best look of the three of us.
Well, that's clear, but that's not hard. Let's get into some football, guys. So week 2 in Central Texas gave some absolute bangers. Is that the right word? In terms of the games, much more so than week 1. There were some close games, there were some comebacks, there were surprises, all over the map. So just reviewing last week's slate of games, what game other than the one that you covered would you have most liked to have been at?
Well, I mean, DJ covered the one that I wanted to be at, so I'm the only one that gets this answer right. But Connally, la-vega, there's a lot of rivalry. In fact, I'm not sure there's another game with more rivalry mixed in our area, given how close those two schools are. And I'm kind of watching the score on that one the whole time, knowing that I'd pick la-vega and maybe differ from one or two of y'all in that pick. But the way that turned out and just sounds like it was a thriller. I would have loved to have been at it. And plus, Connally finally notching that win over la-vega. I don't know how long it had been. So that would have been a great one.
Yeah. DJ?
Yeah. Oh man, that game was fun. I might have gotten a little too caught up in the excitement of that game.
You said you were jelly-legged after the end of it.
Yeah, I was trying to get down the stands to go interview Coach Garrick, and I well, there was a ton of people, so I couldn't move, but I was afraid I was about to fall on my face. No, oh my gosh. I think I would have liked to have been at Waco High for that first win. I know I'm gonna be there tomorrow for the Granbury game, but to get their first win in 13, 17, since 2020, basically. I think that would have been just a really complete atmosphere, a really exciting atmosphere, Yeah,
no doubt. Well, another one I'll mention, to me, I think, DJ, you were at the game of the week, and so, why go anywhere else? But at the same time, we did have some great games all over the place. I think another one worth mentioning is probably the China Spring Melissa game, which, big time comeback for the Cougars, because they were down 20-0 early in that game, and they just kept sort of chipping away, and I'm following that game and ended up writing it up and came back and completed the comeback and got another huge game from Kyle Barton, their running back. DJ, you'll see them a second time this week against Bahia on Friday. Cougars are looking tough again. So that was a good win for them over a 5A team for sure. So, I want to talk a little bit about the Mart Panthers because I feel like they deserve our attention. They absolutely pummeled Marlin 41-6. None of us really saw that one coming. I think we all ended up going with Mart, but certainly expected a closer game. So I heard that Marlin may have had some kids out for this game, but still, that's a pretty big statement win for Mart, which, rolls up statement wins they're breathing oxygen or something. But so, considering Marlin made, a win away from Jerry World last year, when you take that into account. So is this just kind of another case of Mart reloading for another run?
I think within the context of all of high school football in Texas, there are teams and programs that can get on a run for part of a year and have a good year and really get your attention. And then there are schools that expect to win every time they step on the field every year. And I think Mart is one of those schools. I mean, they're kind of like, you know, you could put maybe like Austin Westlake in that category. And, you know, just going around, La-Vega is in that category. You know, some others in Central Texas that you could name, but it's just a different atmosphere and feeling among those schools. And, you know, Marlin, yeah, they had a great year last year, but I think Mart kind of has the kind of flex where they're like, okay, great, we're still Mart and we still think we can beat you. And they went out and did. And it's honestly, I picked Mart. It's maybe the way the game turned out isn't that surprising, but I mean, I'm never gonna, or it'll be a long time before I forget, like last year going out to the Mart Chilton game. Chilton was having a heck of a year, and I had made the mistake of, you know, suggesting that Chilton could give Mart a game.
Yeah.
And all the Mart people were like very frustrated and agitated with me for suggesting the mere possibility that Chilton might give them a competitive district game.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the aloofness that comes with being Mart. I mean,
yeah.
and I'm not saying that they're like cocky and can't back it up. Obviously they can back it up, but
swagger is as swagger does.
There you go. DJ, what do you think?
I was supposed to cover that game, remember?
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I think going back to the first question, I would have liked to have covered that game.
Mm-hmm.
It was my second choice after Connally la-vega, but I mean, I don't know much about Mart other than the fact that they have a good football team.
Yeah.
Like every time I have to drive through Mart when I go visit my family or when I come back from visiting my family, I always have to drive through there. And it's like, you see their little sign with all of their state championships. And it's like, it's an expectation now. It's like death taxes in Mart making state championships, you know? So I think it would have been a really exciting game to cover had I been there, even though they did beat Marlin. And I mean, talking to Coach Ruben last week, I know he kind of I wouldn't say he wasn't expecting to win, but I think he kind of was going into that game with the knowledge that it wasn't going to be an easy game to play. Yeah. So,
yeah, I think you both make some really good points. DJ, the point about, you know, you mentioning what else is there in Mart really besides football. I think people have been saying that in Central Texas for years, because if you go into Mart, here you have this town that it's had a lot of economic problems. They have 8 jillion potholes in Mart. You know, they need some road work for sure. And I'm not saying there's not good people in Mart or good business or whatever, but you know, they did away with their police force a couple years ago, and now they have to outsource that. But man, football is like one of those things that they can hold on to as being, you know, theirs and something to be proud of. I've been rereading Friday Night Lights. I had finished a book, and I didn't have like a new book to read yet. And so, I mean, I kind of always need a book to read. Since Chad was going to Permian last week, I just was sort of like in the mood to go back to Friday Night Lights. And it's very much that way in Odessa. You know, here you have this dusty old oil town, but man, they have Permian football. We can hang our hat on that. So I think that's a really good point. They are proud of their football in Mart, Texas. And then the point that Chad made about just expecting to win. Last year, Marlin makes the state semifinals. They might as well, you know, have thrown a parade. You know, it was the first time in 20 years. Now, I don't feel like Ruben Torres and his coaching staff are viewing it like this is all there is. But at the same time, that was this historic breakthrough. Meanwhile, Mart making the state semifinals, that's like a disappointment. I mean, that's the difference in standard between these two programs. And you can only build that over time and a lot of winning. And Mart's done that. So
absolutely.
So DJ, you mentioned in your Sunday Rewind column that you would be upset if Connally wasn't ranked this week in state rankings after the win over la-vega, and I think that's a fair statement. But our friends at Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, texasfootball.com, they overlooked the Cadets again. They're not in the top 10. You saw Connally up close against a really good team. Is this a team that can make it, to December?
They've got some things that they got to patch up for sure. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I definitely expect to see them in the playoffs. And like I said, that game, I got caught up in it, which, like la-vega comes out at halftime, it's just bang, bang. Oh, you're gonna score on us, we're gonna score on you again. No, I think there was 3 drives where it was like la-vega goes in real quick, scores, Connally comes out. Jelani McDonald, carried the Cadets on Friday, but he goes in and kind of charges through and gets them back on the board. And then la-vega comes out and in like 2 plays scores again. It was like this really incredible pass by Robert Prescott and then just a run into the end zone. So it was a tough game I was preparing myself to go hunt down Coach Hyde to try to get him for post game because it was that close. But, that last quarter, it was like something clicked in Connally and something kind of switched off in la-vega, and like the Cadets just made it. And so like I said, there are some things they got to clean up. They got, in my opinion, way too many fouls and penalties, specifically in the first half. There were some missed tackles, and obviously Bryson Rowland is an incredible running back, and got a little banged up there in the second half. And I think that was part of what kind of killed the vibe for the Pirates. But, they had plenty of people to come in and step in. I think if they can just, iron out a few things, they're definitely going to be a team in contention in December.
Cool. What do you think, Chad?
Yeah, I was just, as DJ was kind of going through that, I was thinking about, it was the 2019 Connally team that went undefeated in the regular season and ended up going like 12-1 that year. And, I guess Kobe Black was an actual little brother, but you have a lot of like little brother types, that saw probably guys in their community that were part of that team and saw them get that done. And for them to start to gain some momentum and have had a taste of that, be it secondhand 3 years ago, I think that probably is a real driving force for them, knowing that they can do that. And it has to help their feelings. This is a weird thing to bring into it maybe, but it has to help their feelings that China Spring has gone up to 4AD1 so that they're maybe kind of the power broker in that district now.
Yeah. Obviously you still have Salado to contend with, but I think you're right. I think China Spring being so close and coming off a state championship, I think that they, might have looked at them sort of like they have often looked at la-vega as that big brother. DJ mentioned that, it didn't start out so great in that game for Connally, but the way that they came back and beat a team that has, been their nemesis, been kind of the team that had their number, to me, that's a game that can have lasting benefits down the road. That's basically like a playoff type game. And so that really should help Connally. In terms of the state rankings, I just pulled them up, and so you've got the likes at the top of the 4A D2 poll. You have some teams in the state of Texas that everyone knows, like Carthage and West Orange Stark and Cuero, and these type teams that if Connally got in a game with them, they're going to be favored, and understandably, they win a lot. They're always there. At the bottom of those rankings, though, are some other teams like Belleville and Glen Rose and Silsbee. Now, Glen Rose beat one of our teams this past week pretty handily, Gatesville. And all these are good teams. But to me, those are the teams that I would maybe take Connally in a game over the likes of a Belleville or a Glen Rose. I mean, talent-wise, they're going to be right there stacking up with them, if not more talented.
But Brice, you voted in enough polls to know it's hard to knock a team out that wins.
No, that's exactly right. You need some teams at the bottom of those rankings, or even at the top of those rankings, to lose a game, and it basically opens up a spot. And then people are like, okay, who do I put in here? Oh, Connally got a big win over la-vega. Maybe, we slide those guys in there. So
right.
I think eventually these guys are going to be ranked. And as far as making it to December, which obviously was my original question, which, Chad and I have always said, you can get to Thanksgiving week in Texas high school football season, you've done something. And then, if you get to December, that's the next week, but, you've really done something, because you're pretty deep into the playoffs at that point. In terms of making it there, part of it is just going to be matchups and how the bracket breaks, if they can avoid like a Carthage or somebody in the second round or whatever, So we'll see. I haven't looked at the bracket, how it might fall, but certainly Connally is looking up for sure. So let's talk about, something not related to a team, more affecting all teams, I guess. We've seen numerous games this year affected by the officials shortage, where games have gotten moved to Thursday because there's just not enough refs on Friday. I've heard and seen all kinds of excuses why fewer people are choosing to ref games. Everything from they don't want to face the mistreatment from fans. That's a common one. I've also heard this lately. I hope this doesn't trigger DJ. That, I'm gonna see what your reaction is. Gen Z isn't interested in working that much. They're not interested in having like a second job, which all of these refs, obviously it's not their full-time gig. They're not going to make a living officiating games, but it's actually nice. It's nice money on the side. It's a nice side hustle. So what's y'all's reaction, and do you have any theories of your own?
Well, I think a lot of people would say I don't hate myself, or I already hate myself. So why would I want to be a referee?
I think that's the real reason why you don't see as many Gen Z, refs. It's we're tired.
You got enough problems as it is.
Yes. Look, I just turned 24 on Saturday.
Right.
And I am tired. And I know that I might get a lot of like older people that are gonna be like you don't know what tired is.
Right.
But just think about what's happened in the past quarter of a century.
Yeah.
And in the world in general, and like the way that the world has advanced, and so you don't want to be out there dealing with people's parents, with coaches, and I feel like to be a good referee, you have to really enjoy it. It's kind of like what we do, in order to be a really good sports journalist, you have to really enjoy it, because you get paid enough, you're always busy. People always assume things of you that aren't always true.
Mm.
And then they don't really care enough to take the time to actually get to know you or ask about the job or like really understand what it takes to work in it. And I feel like officiating is very much the same. I went to Houston for my birthday to see my family. My baby brother, he's 15, he's taller than me now. But he had a soccer game because he plays for the Dynamo Club team out in Lafayette.
Nice.
Yeah, he's the actual athletic one in the family.
I got you.
But my dad is very much a sideline coach. And so he kept yelling things at my brother. And then like there was this one play where it wasn't even against my brother, it was against one of the other kids. And the ref didn't call it. And my dad was yelling at him. And I'm like, Daddy, stop. Like these people do not want to be here. So yeah, I just think that it's something that you really have to be called for.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is a nice side hustle, but other things take priority. And
do y'all remember Hurricane Harbor or Wet and Wild or whatever it's called, in Dallas Fort Worth, or like just a big water park,
Mm-hmm.
Like the one in Arlington had this slide, and it used to be called Der Stuka. I don't know what it's called now, but it's like 5 or 6 stories tall, and you basically like just put your arms across and you just go straight down for several stories. It's almost like a free fall.
Where is this analogy going?
Well, most people look at that and they go, no, not doing that, right? Like it might be fun, but I'm not doing it. I think that's maybe the way people look at refereeing. Like it's probably like really fun and a cool sense of community, but I'm not getting in line and getting on that slide for sure.
I think DJ made a great word there when she said it's a calling. I think you do. It's kind of like the ministry, you kind of have to be called to it. It's a special brand of folks that do officiating. And I think both of y'all make some great points. I always feel like, so I just sort of threw that Gen Z thing in there partially because I had heard it, but I think it's such a cop out a lot of times to just sort of, this new generation, just to make those kind of complaints. It's such like a blanket thing, and we all do it. DJ, you will do it with the younger kids that come up behind you. You'll be like, these young kids, they don't know what they don't know how we had it. They didn't live through COVID, whatever. I mean, and all of these are things. So, I think the treatment from fans on officials, I do feel like has gotten worse over the last few years. To me, you almost couldn't pay me enough to ref high school basketball because the fans are right on top of you. To me, it's the hardest game to officiate because of it's fast. There's collisions, the block charge calls, the hardest call in sports. You can't convince me otherwise. So
high school basketball fans in Texas are the opposite of like St. Louis Cardinals fans or Nebraska football fans. They're not knowledgeable.
Yeah, they're not knowledgeable and they're insane and they don't shut up. And so why would you submit yourself to that world? The money is just not quite good enough. And I think football, though, I will say this, football, you are a little more removed from the fans. You're a little further away. And so I think, maybe more people should try it. If you are a football freak and you're really into the rules, you might give officiating a try. We need refs out there.
I think that like college coaches probably have something to gain by maybe on a grassroots level and behind the scenes promoting the idea of certain guys going and being refs and kind of recruiting kind of in the same way that they recruit their own players and recruiting guys and being like, hey, go be a ref. We need you. We have a shortage of them. And I think it might take that kind of prominence to kind of get it done.
Yeah. What were you going to say, DJ?
No, I was just remembering something that happened on Friday at the game. Literally the last drive that la-vega had. I think it was like the first pass. Robert, I don't know who he was aiming for, but Prescott threw the ball and it hit the official and it bounced off of him, and Bryson Rowland was right there to just catch it and go. It wasn't enough, but I don't know. That was just a really funny moment. It was like at the tail end of the game, the ref was just in the wrong spot.
Yeah, that happens too, for sure.
Like he banged off of him, but before it hit the ground, Rowland caught it. So it was a complete pass.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild. So there's a lot of football left to be played. We know this. A lot of football. But consider this my Deshaun Jackson trash talking premature celebration moment. So I want to know, are any of you two gonna give me a game in these picks that we make?
Wait, coming off a week in which you got like so many like less than a touchdown decided games, you know.
Oh, so you're saying I was lucky?
You were lucky. I don't think there's any denying that you were lucky.
Better to be lucky than good.
DJ, I'll let you have this one because I got another analogy.
I think y'all already know how I pick my picks.
Which the marker thing, a classic by the way, but really worked out for you with Connally la-vega.
Yeah. No,
Wait,
I was
what is
like
the marker thing?
So tell them about.
If you didn't read my column,
I guess I was out of town.
Yeah, I could not pick between Conine and la-vega. Obviously, it would have been the smart thing to pick la-vega, given that they've just come off a win. I mean, but Connally had just come off a win, and you know, they just both seem like really good teams. And I was like, I don't really care enough to like make a decision. I don't know, and that's the way that it is with most of my picks. Is like I don't really know a lot of the schools in the area other than the ones that, you know, I've seen or heard of. And so I was just like, okay, I don't have a coin on me, but I've got my markers. And so I assigned the blue one to Connally and the red one to la-vega. And I was like, okay, if the cap lands facing me, that's the one I'll pick. And so I closed my eyes, I flipped them, they fell on the ground, and the blue one was facing me and the red one was sideways. So I was like, you know what? We're gonna go with Connally. And during the game, la-vega was winning, and I was like, I should have maybe picked la-vega. But Cadets pulled it off in the end. I got lucky as well the week before with Robinson pulling through, and that was more just y'all didn't pick Robinson. And so I picked, like a lot of the times I just feel bad that nobody picks a team, and so I just pick it.
Give them the pity vote, yeah.
I mean that might.
Yeah, but you did mention, so what I call the picks where only one of us pick a game. I call those out on a limb picks, all right? And you did get an out on a limb pick that you mentioned you just had a gut feeling about it, and that was Moody.
Yeah. Yeah, that I don't know what it was. It was just like
just felt good about
I did that capsule and I talked to coach and so that, you know, he seemed pretty hopeful for the season, and obviously that first game didn't go so well for him, but I know that when I was going through the boxes and I was like, oh, they didn't pick Moody, but I kind of have a feeling Moody's got something going this season. It might not, you know, they might not be the team that everybody expects. So I don't know. I kind of just had a feeling.
I think in hindsight, that was a very astute pick. And by the way, pro move here. I'm gonna teach you something. When you do pick a team, just act like you knew exactly, you know, you had some sort of inside knowledge. That's the pro move. But I will say,
did that one count?
In
that
hindsight,
one was Thursday, right?
Yeah, that one was Thursday. In hindsight, Moody has beaten Heiko in several recent years, even when they haven't been that good. So maybe we should have all picked Moody. Obviously, we should have all picked Moody, but DJ had that one on the money. So yeah, I'm talking trash now because I know things can
wait.
Yes,
Okay,
what's your analogy?
Okay, so like I don't know.
got about
I don't know if
4
y'all play
minutes.
app game, huh?
I said you got about 4 minutes.
Okay, I'll make it fast. I don't know if y'all play app games or not, but I play Real Racing 3 a lot in my idle time. You know, it's got like a lot of cool cars on it and cool tracks like Daytona and Indianapolis Motor Speedway and Circuit of the Americas, right? But sometimes you have like a really good car and you're like early on in like a certain like series, right? So your car is way better than the other cars. So you just have to find a way to make it entertaining, like, you know, stall out for a few minutes and let other cars get way ahead. And then it becomes sort of entertaining. That's kind of where I feel like we are right now. Like I let you get out in front so I can chase a little bit and kind of keep me sharp for the rest of the season.
Okay. I like it. You're flipping the trash talk. I like it. I like it. Well, you know, and I will say, sometimes when you pick, if it's after the other two, that can be kind of an advantage. As DJ said, sometimes she'll take a pick just because the other two of us went the other way. But at any rate, it should be fun. Picking these games. And
by the way, I like the way on our spreadsheet, I think Wynn has done this for us. If we all pick a game right, at the end on the far right, it says group success.
Yes.
An exclamation point.
And then and there's also group failure. When we all three get it wrong. Yes. Yeah, I like that. I like that. And if you want to see, let's see here, in the group success or whatever, where we all three picked a game last week in those type games, we were 23-4. So we're not doing too shabby as a collective.
As a group.
Yes.
Yeah, but those are like slam dunks, right?
Yeah, those are usually the slam dunks, but obviously we missed 4 of them. So
well, Coram Deo tripped us up.
Yeah. Live Oak, man. That was a surprising loss. Anyway, we'll be back at the games this week and look forward to talking some more football. Appreciate y'all.
Cool.